Now, Dr. Kelvin Owusu is here, and I like the
Dr.
conversation we're going to have.
Nase.
Hey. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah,
David.
put that one for.
All right. Put them aside. Good morning, Doc.
Good morning,
Welcome. All right. Our resident doctor. And today he's going to be talking to us about dealing with a twin pregnancy. All right. Now, carrying a singleton is tough enough. Carrying two at once, I'm not speaking from experience, but I can only imagine. Yeah. So, Doc, you're gonna talk us through this today. Welcome again.
Thank you. Good to be here.
Always good to see you. All right. Now, there are some people who think that there's a method to getting pregnant with twins.
Not
Can you
really.
just, okay.
There's really no method to it. I mean, there's some hereditary predisposition. However, I mean, if your mother gave birth to twins, the probability that you also have twins is higher than the general population. But there's really no method. Of course, people who have struggled with achieving pregnancy and have to go through artificial means of getting pregnant, the likelihood of multiple pregnancy is higher in those people as well. You know, but through natural means, there's really no method.
Okay, all right. A lot of it is genetic or just
chance,
luck.
Yes,
chance, fortune. Maybe
can someone who, this is just a little mischievous on my part, but can somebody who is going through the natural process of conception take some kind of injectables or whatever? No, I'm just saying this because of what they do.
Once
in
you're
the
doing
in vitro,
injectable,
right?
once you're doing injectables, then it's no longer natural in quotes.
Okay.
Got it. There's some help.
Okay.
Exactly.
Right.
Okay.
So that's all part of it. I mean, assisted conception can result in multiple pregnancies.
Okay. All right.
Cool.
So you get pregnant. You go for a test. You're excited. Then along the line, you find out that you're carrying two babies. So you're either extremely ecstatic or terrified. No, but does carrying a twin pregnancy come with any additional risks for the mother?
Oh yes, I mean it comes with a lot of. You see, first of all, you must understand that the pregnancy itself, or the developing baby, is considered to be a parasite, a good parasite by the body.
Okay.
You know, which is why the placenta, or rather, which is why the womb itself is a very protected part of the body, because if there is a mixture between the baby's proteins and the mother's protein, the mother is going to form antibodies which are going to then attack the baby. You know, so now if you understand it from this context, then it makes sense that if you have more than one, then the complications are also trouble. Yes, exactly. The complications are also going to sort of go up somewhat. Okay. You know, for instance, if most women who get pregnant would have nausea and vomiting, if you have a twin pregnancy, that's like multiples of that. You know, so one of the if a woman comes in and she's having severe forms of vomiting and nausea with pregnancy, one of the things you suspect is, could this probably be a twin or multiple gestation?
Okay.
You know, of course, the most common form of multiple gestation is twins, so that's where we come to. So yes, there's an increased risk of complications all through the pregnancy. You know, risk of pregnancy loss is higher. You know, risk of cesarean section is also high. You know, risk of prematurity and preterm delivery also high. In fact, over half of twin gestations will result in a preterm labor. You know, yes. So so the risk
How early?
Well, most of them would go into labor before 36 weeks.
Okay.
You know, so and normal pregnancy is up to 40 weeks.
Yeah.
You know, so it's once you have a twin gestation, the risk of delivering before your time is significantly high. Okay. You know, so and then also on the mother side, the risk of all the complications, so pregnancy-related diabetes, hypertension, you name it, eclampsia, preeclampsia. Everything is increased with twin gestation. This is because the hormones or the hormones that the placenta would secrete and all the functions of the placenta are double. So you are definitely going to experience double the effect with twin gestation. So it's something that you should be aware. So as you are wishing to give birth to twins, you should understand that there's a price to pay.
Right. Now people often say when you're pregnant that, you're eating for two, or you should be eating for two, and they maybe overcompensate on the food. If you're carrying a twin pregnancy, does that mean you need to eat for three or triple your portion? You know,
this position is actually quite common across the world. In fact, when I googled twin gestation, FAQs, the first question that was addressed was, should I eat food? Should I eat more than my required caloric intake? And the simple answer is there's no general rule like that. Okay. You know, in fact, even when it comes to singleton pregnancy, as you rightly put it, I didn't know you needed terms like that. That's actually
Charlie, I have 4 children. You
know, so even when it comes to singleton pregnancies, there's no hard and fast rule that you're supposed to eat this much or that much. It's an individualized plan. You know, so the fact that you're carrying twins does not mean you're eating for 3 people. You know, that does not mean that if you're eating 1 bowl of cake, you should not eat 2 bowls. No, it doesn't work like that. Exactly. You know, your doctor would sit you down, probably invite a nutritionist or a dietitian to come into the mix so that we can discuss your peculiar requirements, you know, so that they can tailor a plan for you. I mean, of course, this is all under ideal situations, yes. You know, but generally speaking, every woman who is pregnant, whether you're having twins or singleton, you should eat as much of a balanced diet as you possibly can. Of course, so long as you are tolerating it, because in the first trimester, that's the first 13 weeks, most women are unable to hold down food because of the nausea and vomiting. So there are ways and means to deal with that as well. So again, because twin pregnancy would increase that effect, the vomiting, you would definitely need to see your doctor and discuss how to intervene. Okay. You see, because if we don't do that, you are going to struggle. You see that because pregnancy takes a toll on the woman.
It does.
It takes a heavy toll on the woman. You know, so if the woman is not able to tolerate food, then it's going to be even more difficult and more challenging, which can then result in more complications, including pregnancy loss. So we don't want that to happen at all. But let me just dovetail into one question that might come up. So twin pregnancy is one of we call it high risk pregnancies. Normal pregnancy, when I say normal, I'm talking about normal singleton pregnancy, no risk factors, no problem. The mother is young enough, of course not too young, but within the acceptable age limits. You usually go to hospital like 4 times during the pregnancy. Okay. You know, once every trimester. There are 3 trimesters, and then a final one just to make sure that the baby is well positioned to come out. So 4. But with twin pregnancy, it's classified as high risk, so you're going to have to go to hospital much more often than the normal pregnancy would have gone. You know, so you should expect that once it's diagnosed that you have twin pregnancy, you are going to have to visit the hospital more often. Even if it's an uneventful pregnancy, you still go more often. So don't skip hospital visits.
Don't skip. Okay.
What are the typical advices that you would give to a woman who's discovered that she's carrying twins, and basically she wants to be as safe and her babies to be as safe as possible? What are some of the practices, like daily routines, you know, that you would advise?
So let's start by, I think I already started by visiting the hospital, because we need to diagnose that you have twins. And it's not enough to diagnose that you have twins. You need to know what kind of twins you are carrying. Okay. Now, generally, or in layman term, we know that they are identical and unidentical twins. Well, when you come to my area, it gets a bit more complicated because now there are 2 people sharing the womb. Yeah. Now, these 2 people, are they sharing any other thing? So we need to know what exactly they are sharing, because depending on what they are sharing, their pregnancy might even be a higher risk than we initially anticipated. So when I say what are they sharing, now the placenta is one of the most important things. The placenta literally connects the mother to the baby. Yeah. You know, and the placenta also prevents the mother's blood from mixing. So it's a very, very important organ. It also secretes hormones. Now, some twins can share a placenta. Okay. Some twins do not share a placenta. So, yes, and this is very, very important, because when the twins share placenta, then there might be complications, something we call twin-to-twin transfusion. You know, because now it's 1 placenta with 2 umbilical cords. The umbilical cord is what connects the baby to the placenta, and that's where the baby's food and nutrition and oxygen is coming from. Now, if they are sharing the placenta, it means that the same blood that is coming into the placenta is being distributed to both babies. Yeah. So there's a possibility that one baby might collect more of the resources than the other baby. Yeah. And so it presents a situation called twin-to-twin transfusion. So you might actually have one child quite big and the other child very small. So if that diagnosis is made that they are sharing a placenta, then the mother needs to pay attention, because you may have to report to hospital again much more often than I had even initially said, because we need to monitor, do more scans. You know, so twin pregnancy is actually quite expensive to carry. If they are not sharing a placenta, then it means that they are. Or let me back it up a bit. When they share a placenta, it means that they are most likely identical. Yeah. Okay. You know, and there's one other a bit more technical thing. Now, the sac that covers the entire baby can also be shared. Okay. And that is actually one of the ones we don't like at all. Thankfully, it's also the rarest. Okay. So they share placenta and they also share sac. when they share sac, the cord, the babies are always moving, so the
Yes.
cord can actually now entangle, and that we don't want at all,
strangulation.
because that means emergency surgery right there and
Yeah.
then, because there's no way to go and untangle them,
Yeah.
But thankfully, it doesn't happen often. So most of the time, they may share placenta, but they have different sacs,
Okay.
which is better, but there's still the risk of the twin-to-twin
resources
transfusion.
will be, yeah.
Then when they don't share a placenta, then most likely they are unidentical twins, which means that a different egg, two different eggs were released, and then those eggs were fertilized by two different sperms. So
Yeah.
this is what I'm trying to explain. See, the picture tells 1,000 words.
Yeah.
So on one side, you are seeing both twins in one sac sharing
Yeah.
one placenta, and then in the other picture, you are seeing twins in different sacs, and in this case, they are not sharing a placenta.
Yeah.
There's a third type that did not show up here. That's where the placenta is still shared, but then they are in different sacs. So when they are sharing the sac and the placenta, complications are very highly likely. So we don't want that at all. And God in His wisdom made that also the rarest form. So we are happy that it's very rare.
Okay.
And then you can also have in this case where they are not sharing a placenta, they are not sharing a sac.
Okay.
These two can be identical, and they can also be unidentical, but most likely unidentical.
Okay.
And so this is typically what you see when you do a scan. So you have twins. We need to know what kind of twins you are having, so that then if it's this kind, then we are a bit more relaxed, because we know that the complications are not going to be as significant as in the other case. Then one other thing you have to understand is that as the babies are growing now, because they are sharing the same space, you may not have twin pregnancies achieving the same weight as a singleton pregnancy. So most of the time, twins are born a little on the low side of weight, birth weight, and that also presents with complications, obviously. And so this is part of the reason why the mother must attend hospital more frequently. And so again, I say, do you really want to have twins?
There are people praying for it, but it's good that you're emphasizing the antenatal visits.
It's very, it's very important.
You'll find some people who don't see the need, or maybe they've been told, whether it's by a pastor or someone else, that you don't need this or that, or you're not going to have a cesarean, you don't need it, and so they wait. They go past the point. Like you said, twins normally come a bit earlier, but you'll have mothers who will wait till 40 weeks because they've been told, no, you have to go through full gestation, blah blah blah, and then things happen. So it's good that you're emphasizing, check with your doctors, do your antenatal visits, all of that.
There's one question that I don't know why it occurred to me, but I'm just wondering about. If you have twins who are not identical, what's the likelihood of one regular pregnancy and one ectopic?
Okay, now you're taking us too deep.
Oh, Tresse, it's the way my mind works.
I mean, that is more likely to occur in unidentical twins.
Okay.
Because now two different eggs have been released, and these eggs are fertilized by two different sperms.
Okay.
Usually, the fertilization occurs in the fallopian tubes. And then the fertilized egg is now moved down into the final resting place. So it's possible, even though rare, that the pregnancy, the fertilized ovum, as it was coming down, did not arrive where it's supposed to be, but the other one did go to where it's supposed to be. Now, in advanced centers, it's actually possible. First of all, they can detect it earlier, but that's usually from the woman. Also plays a major role, because when you start noticing some pain, don't take it as normal pregnancy pain. Report early, because if we detect it early, it is possible to actually deal with the ectopic pregnancy without necessarily even doing an open surgery. So that in that case you don't then disturb the normally situated pregnancy. So what I'm trying to say is that it's actually possible to deal with the ectopic without affecting the normal position pregnancy. However, it is difficult. So there needs to be a lot of things in place for that to happen. But notwithstanding, never say never in medicine. Things are happening all the time. But let me just touch on one thing. There's also something called vanishing twin syndrome.
Okay, tell us about that.
Where you went to do an antenatal scan early, maybe in your 9th week, 10th week, you saw that they were twins. Then subsequently, you go and do a scan at, let's say, 13 weeks or 20 weeks, and then there's only one baby there. It also happens, because pregnancy loss can still happen even in twin gestation as well. Now, in this case, if they are not sharing a sac and they are not sharing a placenta, the other one that is normally developing can continue to term. But sometimes if they are sharing the space, then one can affect the other, and then you might have a negative outcome for both of them. You know, so it happens. I know, and I've met people who, you know, ascribe spiritual connotation to some of these things, but medically speaking, it's possible.
Okay.
You know, that you had twins, but as the pregnancy progressed, one of them disappeared, or one of them died. So there is actually termed vanishing twin syndrome because we've diagnosed it is there. Then when it comes to the time of delivery,
Yes.
now the leading twin, the twin that comes first, determines whether you are going to be delivered by cesarean or by normal vaginal delivery.
Okay.
If the leading twin is presenting normally with the head down, and then of course all other things considered, then it means that you can deliver through a normal vaginal delivery. However, after the leading twin has been delivered, the second twin is also assessed, because there's a possibility that sometimes after you deliver the first twin, you might need to do a cesarean to deliver the second twin. So the fact that they are twins doesn't mean that we can use one to decide for both. Each one of them has to be assessed on their own merit.
Okay.
So if the first one is able to come out, then the second one is assessed. If that second one can also come out because the head is down, then again that one can also follow.
Great.
Even if it's a breech delivery, depending on the scale of the attendants, they can still do a breech delivery vaginally, and that's also fine. But I'm just stressing on the fact that it's possible that you can deliver your first naturally, and then the second would require cesarean.
All right.
Thank you.
Dr. Kelvin, where can people reach you?
Well, I'm active on social media, Kelvin Owusu MD, or Nasa
Nasa
Epoku.
Epoku. Thank you.
You were waiting for that one.
All right, we've been speaking with Dr. Kelvin Owusu, who is the MD of Medical Care, Optimal Care Diagnostics, and fun conversation. Interesting, very important conversations. Don't go anywhere.